Welcome back to the Fake Straight Podcast. I'm the host, your girl, Tanara. Please note that the opinions expressed by any guests on this show do not necessarily represent my views or the views of Fake Straight Media. This podcast is intended for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is advised. Grab your favorite beverage or mine, a glass of champagne, clink clink, and let's get into it, y'all. Hey y'all, what's up? We're back with another episode of the Fake Straight Podcast. I have Curtis in here with us. Curtis, introduce yourself.
Identify he, him. I'm currently single. Kind of ready to mingle. We'll see.
Okay. I'm a matchmaker of sorts.
We'll see what's out there.
I love it. Now, Curtis, how do you identify?
I like who I like.
Mm-hmm.
But it tends to, be men.
Yeah, it tends to be men. I love when people are like, I've known since I was 5 years old. How old were you when you were like, I think I'm into guys. I'm feeling this.
I think you always kind of like just know you have friendships who are, a little bit closer and attraction that's, you kind of feel that little tingling thing in your system. I don't know if it was necessarily like sexuality, just more, just attraction to, likeness, I guess. I wouldn't say that, I actually started actively pursuing feelings until college.
Okay.
So like my 20s.
So did you date women in high school and in college? You were dating women as well?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. A little bit. I've had, friends that turned into like, all right, let's talk a little bit more.
A little situation.
I took a girl to prom, but it never was like serious. Like some of those high school, when you're in high school, sometimes you have those like puppy love relationships.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, oh, yeah, go to the dance with me. And it's like nothing serious. Yeah, it was my prom for me. It's like, you're just the homie, okay? Yeah. Do you feel like you have a coming out story to friends and or to family? What did that look like?
So that's funny that you say that because fortunate to not have a coming out story.
Oh, I love that.
I was raised by my grandparents and my grandfather. He was just kind of like, you have all these little beautiful girls, around. Like, I ain't never seen you bring one of them home. So it was always that. So I never really had to like come out because I think people already kind of knew until I actually got engaged to a man. And that's kind of when people were like, oh, okay.
How long after college did you get engaged to a guy?
So I graduated when I was 21, 22. So I got engaged when I was 32. So about almost 10 years. So I had some time.
Yeah. And so were you just like, hey, y'all, I'm engaged to a man? Or like had you brought boyfriends around
I brought people around. Introduced them, as my friends. And so I think, again, people had, especially my family, they just had the kind of notion like, oh, that's just kind of like what we like. So,
I love
so
that.
It's never been I've had to sit people down and I'm out the closet,
Yeah.
It's never been that. I've been
I
fortunate.
love that. That's so fortunate when I started dating women because I'm who I am. I was just like, hey, y'all, this is who I'm dating. And who didn't like it. But I feel bad because I know there are people that have this story where they're like, I felt this way for years and I had to hide it or I didn't know how to come out or when I came out, it was crazy. And I'm like, I'm so blessed that, I had a couple of people that didn't fool with me. That's fine. Do what you do. Yeah, do what you do. But everyone else was like, okay, cool, sis.
Yeah. And, Black men always have this stereotype of, how they move in the world. And whatnot. And a lot of people don't come out just because of, the safety and security of lifestyles. And so I've just been blessed to not have to deal with that piece. Of course, there's challenges that come along with it, but my family has been solid with me. So
I love that. Yeah. Did you have any friends that were like, I ain't rocking with you no more?
No, I can't say, I can't really say
I love that.
That hasn't been rocking, because, I know I'm a vibe. People have always.
I know that's right.
But I've always just had authentic friendships. I grew up with a crew down in the Springs, and we're still boys to this day. I'm just, Curtis, and that just happens to be gay or whatever. People that have had feelings about what it is, that just weren't the people for me.
Yeah.
Actually
Yeah.
Grew apart. So
yeah, it's like our values don't align anyway.
yeah, man, it's no big thing. It's just
yeah.
life changes. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so you got engaged. Let's go back to that.
Okay.
And how long had you dated this guy before you got engaged?
2 years.
Were you like, I'm looking for marriage, I'm into marriage? What made you say, this is the one that I want to be married to?
I think it was the opposite because of our connection at the time. He made me think about marriage, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily that I didn't have it, in the back of my head or whatnot, as something that, if I meet the right one, and I wasn't necessarily keen on like the institution of marriage, because it changes.
Yes.
You have to understand like how it really works for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, he actually really did make me think about it and think about it with him. Yeah.
Who proposed to who?
I proposed first. So I'm a huge traveler, and that was another thing that attracted me. We just very much traveled and were good travel partners.
Yeah. That's so important.
You can't travel with it.
No, when some people are crazy, you're like, oh my God, never again.
And so we had been to a few countries, and we ended up going to Japan, and I proposed there. But we were coming back. We stopped in Hawaii. Actually, he proposed to me, so it was kind of on the same trip that we kind of got to.
Yeah. Did you know going into the trip that you were going to propose? Were you like, oh, okay.
It was weird because we kind of like talked about it and had something kind of in plan. Like, this is a trip. We didn't know when or where it was going to happen. We knew kind of.
Oh, y'all were like, we're going to get engaged during this trip.
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah, we had talked about it.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Oh, I love it.
It was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting. So it was a ride, I'll say that.
You're no longer married.
I'm no longer married.
How long were you married?
I'm married for 7 years.
That's a pretty legit time. I feel like when we're talking about relationships or marriage, 5 years is a win. It's tough. Yes. I love when men or women, they're talking about how long they've been together and, oh, it's been 15 years or 17 years. That's so beautiful because you don't see that. You'll see maybe 7 years, and that's a stretch.
And that's the thing within the marriage community. Once you get it's this thing about getting over the 7 year
Oh, God, help.
This is the thing.
So tell me, leading up to the 7 years, were you thinking about, oh no, the 7 year itch? Was that something in your head?
I wouldn't say necessarily that specifically, but I think when things came up and you realize there were some signs that I may have missed, or some interactions that I, wasn't very fond of in our marriage, that it made you think about those types of things. Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like on the other side of marriage were some things that I missed, and I can say that from my growth perspective. Just being a little bit younger, I was married. There was a 7 year gap, so he was 7 years older than me.
Okay.
So I think there was a lot of interesting dynamics with age as well that had a lot to do with, not from a maturity perspective on my end, but I think on the other end.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is interesting because older ones can be some of the worst ones.
Yes. It's like, are you evolved at all? You're older than me. What have you been doing? That's real.
Yeah.
That being said, would you get married again?
It's an interesting question. In my current state now, I don't think so. I was very open to being married, but I also understood some of the sanctity of it. I grew up with grandparents who were married for 42 years before my grandmother passed away. And so, I had some of that traditionalism kind of still ingrained in me. And so once you go through it, I personally don't know if I would ever do that again. I think it was kind of a one and done thing. Like, okay, I've experienced that. And not to say that I won't meet the person and have, this open conversation with them and it'd be something that I would completely knock down. It's something in my current state that I'm like, I don't know if I do that.
I mean, marriage is so much compromise, right?
Yeah,
it's so much meshing and compromise. So do you think it was the act of marriage and being in the marriage was difficult, or the actual divorce?
I would say a little bit of both. So there's a little bit of trauma behind the divorce. It wasn't very pleasant. I actually loved being married. I actually did. I loved the safety of it. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in a time of marriage where I missed the whole kind of app phase, so I didn't have to do all of that.
Y'all know I love a good app. We'll swipe left and right all day long.
Yeah, so I was kind of before it, and like now we're kind of on the other end.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to do that. So it was just, if the safety of marriage.
Yeah, the stability of it.
But like you said, it's a lot of compromise, and you have to find that person who's willing to like grow with you. And obviously, it's not going to be at the same time, but you have to have somebody who's going to like understand growth patterns, and you're going to grow. I'm going to grow. Like, we're going to be different at different times. Yeah. And finances, that's a huge piece.
Did y'all talk about finances before you got married?
We did, which is another thing that attracted me to him. I worked in finance for the last 15 years, so that's something that I really kind of knew about, like as far as retirement, setting yourself up. So we did have really, personal conversations about where we were in finance. It was a dynamic that we both agreed to, kind of move forward with. But you don't really get deep into it until you start buying houses, paying taxes, mortgage, interest rates, and all those things.
Yeah. I mean? People are judging you for buying a Louis bag, those kind of things, or a new car.
Yeah. I think that's another thing. We lived a particular lifestyle. It was a little bougie.
It's a little flossy.
We like the nicer things in life, but you also attribute it to working hard.
Yeah,
we both were professionals, but there was a dynamic there as well, though.
Yeah.
As well, so it creates tension when it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I bought a new car a couple months ago. And I told Brandy, I said, I think I'm going to get like a little small SUV. But I was like, I think towards the end of the year, my other car was completely fine and normal. Had 43,000 miles on it. But I've had it for like 4 years. And usually I get rid of cars like after 3-4 years. I said, yeah, I'm thinking. And she said, oh, okay. And she loves negotiating. I was like, I'm not doing all that. Like, I'm going to find the car, whatever. She's like, please let me do the negotiating for you. And I was like, okay. So I found the car. Yeah. And I told her, I said, well, I'm going to go test drive it on a Friday morning because it was snowing that Friday. And I was like, I want to see how it handles in the snow. I came back home with the car. She was like, honey. I was like, in my defense, I did research it. Yeah. I was like, this is the car I knew I wanted. And I knew the cost. Like, I knew the comps. Like, I don't need to go to 8 different dealerships. And I was like, also, we live together, but we're not married yet. So I was like, I feel like this is...
So you're holding on to your individualism.
Yes. I was like, trust me, when we're married, I will not do this. So yeah, that's a lot though. The kind of merging of, okay, I'm used to spending and buying the stuff that I want. And then you're like, okay, well now this is our finances.
And I think that's the thing. It was very transparent. Like he had his, I had mine. We had a joint account that we threw money into for savings. And, our joint thing. Even still, you have to have transparent conversations when, things happen.
Yeah. So you said the divorce was a little traumatic for you. Can you talk to us a little bit about healing? Like, what does healing look like for you? What did you do to heal? Do you feel like you are healed?
I think healing is definitely not something linear.
Yes.
Have your ups, downs, sideways. I'll say probably going through the divorce, and I was going on, I got laid off at the same time, so I had a lot of stuff on me at one time, and so it really felt like I was being stripped of a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And so that healing was in different places. Right?
Yeah.
So it was all over the place. It was, I went into, my isolation space. It was rough. You realize that you spent so much time, doing things that now are not real. You have the dreams, right? You dream about the future, and you create these things in your mind about what it should be.
Oh, we're going to do this, and then maybe we'll move here. And
yeah. It's not a reality. So just unraveling that is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
So,
without going into all the details, it was just not an easy, some domestic violence stuff that happened that made it challenging. Police and lawyers and everything.
When the police gets involved, that's when it's time to wrap it up. Yeah. It's like there's no coming back from that.
So to say that I'm healed, I can't say that. It's a journey that I'm still continually on. I think I'm in a better place now.
Good.
But you just go through spiritual things and look at some of the things that I done and own just my life now. And just being able to like understand that there's still life ahead of you. And that I have a chance to like really just live my life the way that I want it.
Yeah.
I don't have to like ask for nobody to do anything.
Yeah. You can go out and buy a new car. Ask for permission.
Become solo travelers. So I travel.
I love that.
Get up when I want to. I plan how I want to. It's good. It's healing. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I love it. Okay. So tell us, so you're single and mingling. You see, I keep dropping hints. So tell me what type of man you typically like. Like, what's your steez?
So I wouldn't say I'm necessarily mingling.
He may be open to mingling.
I am. I think for me, it's really about personality. If you're not somebody who I can have a good time with, laugh with, have very authentic conversations with. I'm a music head, so I love like music. So somebody who can talk music, you can talk TikTok, yeah. But also be grounded in just your belief system and somebody who's just really lived life a little bit, you know what I mean, and have a story to tell behind it. I'm a type of person that you can tell me how you are, but I'm gonna watch how you are.
Yeah. I need to watch how you move.
I'm gonna watch how you move first before I engage heavily. And now, knowing what I know now, that's really more important to me. You know what I mean? Because people out there, they know how to manipulate really well.
People used to be like, oh yeah, you date someone and you're dating the representative for 6 months. I swear to gosh, I dated someone and I dated the representative for a year and a half. I felt so silly. I was like, how did I not see this? And I don't know, you get lost in the sauce. You get lost in the sauce and you're like, oh my gosh. And so then it's like when you have that moment where you're like, I see you. It's disappointing. I was disappointed in the other person. I was disappointed in myself because I was like, why didn't I see this? Or I saw it and I was just like, oh, like I felt bad, you know, like,
or you equate it to like, oh, this is just behavior that maybe they don't know about. Maybe I can show them in this, you know what I mean? And
I was trying to help. Always trying to help.
And that's the thing about marriage too, like knowing kind of the role that you play in this person's life as a partner, as, just a soul connection, you know what I mean? I've had to learn that, maybe this was just somebody who I was in their life to teach them something. In my life to teach me something about myself as well. So
I don't want to teach nobody nothing. I don't want to teach nothing else to nobody. I want a partner. When I was younger, even though I've been a lesbian for 12 years, I've been like, oh, I'm so traditional. I like these traditional roles. And then after dealing with a couple of situations, I was like, no. Like, I want more equality in my relationship. Like, I want a partner, right? Like, I still want you to do things that I want to be taken care of and I want these things, but I want to offer you value as a person. And I also want to feel like you are adding to my life. Like, it gets to a point sometimes you're like, I'm giving, like, I'm helping you. I'm helping heal you. I was like, I don't want to do none of that no more. Like, go to your therapist.
That's interesting. And that you talk about a good segue, like therapy, that's a huge thing. Like, for me, like I've had to go through therapy and, talk about my life in that sense. And, it's been helpful. And I think my next partner will have to have experienced that in some kind of fashion. Just because it gives, the opportunity to really look at yourself. If you're not able to look at yourself, you're surely not able to look at me. So I don't know. I think that's something that I just value in my next partner is somebody who, just values going to therapy. Not because you have something wrong, but just because it's necessary.
Like to check in. You don't have to go every 2 weeks, but tell me you go every couple months, you do a little check-in situation, because a lot of times we're so busy in life, especially once you have a partner, like we're moving, we're doing all the things. So it's like, when do you have that chance to self-reflect, to think about, am I healed enough to move on from XYZ? Whether it's a partner, parental relationships, we all have childhood trauma. Okay. It's like
we all got problems.
Always healing. So it's like, have you unpacked that? What does that look like? That's super important.
I'm cool. I like to, stay in my own lane. But if you can get on a plane and have your passport, that's a plus as well.
What if you dated someone that was really hot, really interesting, great job, great personality, and he was like, I've never been out of the country before. Is that a deal?
It's not a deal break if you don't have the mindset, though. If you have the
yeah.
Like, oh, I want to travel.
I don't want to do all that.
But if you're like, I just haven't submitted the application, then I'll be like, okay, what's taking you?
It's $110. Get it?
and it's weird because there's that this conversation like kind of in the social media space, like about like global entry and all that.
Oh yeah.
Like, do you leave your partner on TSA?
I leave my partner all the time.
I'm sorry.
Bye, boo. I love you. I love her so much, and I hate to look into her beautiful eyes. But when we get to TSA and clear pre-check, I'll be like, bye. I love her so much. She refuses, and she travels so much for work. She refuses. I don't know what's wrong with her. We were coming back from Chile, and we were passing through Houston. And luckily, it was a 3-hour layover. We were in the regular line because I was like, we have 3 hours. So I didn't leave her that time. I'm kind. I didn't leave. Usually, especially at Denver Airport, I'd be like, bye. She's like, you don't get there quicker than me. I'm like, I don't have to take my 2 laptops out of my bag. I'm not taking my shoes off. Like, that's beneath me. I'm not doing this.
I hate to be elitist like that. But
yeah, it feels bad, but I don't care. I'm not doing any of that. We were coming back through Houston. It was a 3-hour layover, and we got to Houston at like 5 a.m. Yeah. We could have just been sitting down, drinking mimosas and eating bacon, like at 6 a.m. Yeah. We weren't. I was in line with her. So I even signed up because I'm kind. I signed her up. I said, let me add her to my Clear membership. And I said, I added you. I think it was an extra $100. I added her. I said, next time we're traveling in the States, just bring your passport and you can just finish it. Yeah. She never did talk to your friend. She never did. She never did. And they charged me. I need to call Clear. I'm like, she never activated that. I'll leave you. I'm leaving you.
Yeah, it's a different type of mentality.
Yeah, because we grown. So it's like, I don't want to just sit here. Yeah. Like I want to do more than go to Atlanta and Houston, which I love Atlanta and Houston. I love a good time in Houston.
Houston, Atlanta, Vegas.
Yes. I'm like
Houston, Atlanta, Vegas.
To death.
Yeah, that's a quick trip.
Yeah, no, and you can't see how people move, right? Like I think that one of my love and I, first trips together, she brought me to Miami, which I'm not, throw Miami in with Houston, Atlanta, Vegas. Those are like the 4 places. It's like, but I was like, okay, fine, I'll go. And it was my most favorite time I've ever been to Miami. When B and I were going, I was like, oh my God, this is like the first time we're going to be together. I think it was 4 or 5 nights. We were there for a good little bit. And I was like, what if she gets stressed when we're traveling? That's going to be disappointing. Like what's she going to do? And we had the most amazing freaking time. And we've went so many places since then. But I was like, man, this is my girl. Like, this is my girl. Like, be flexible, adapt, don't complain. I dated someone, they would get like so stressed and so they complain. And so then I'm left trying to figure everything out. Figure out something for me. Okay. In Miami, we were leaving STK restaurant. We went there for happy hour before we were going to dinner, but we had to go home and change, and it was torrential rain. Oh my God, it was so much rain. It was only like a block from our hotel, and we had been waiting like 20 minutes, but we had reservations at Mr. Chow. We're like running through the water, and we were just crying, laughing. I was like, oh my God. She wasn't complaining. She wasn't like, I'm about to get my hair wet. She was just like, let's go. Yeah, so it's important.
That's definitely something. I'm not. If you're in the complaining like lifestyle, that's what.
Yeah.
All right, cool, but that's just not. That's cool connection. And on vacation, anything can go. So
be solutions oriented. Focus on the solution. Be a thought partner, okay?
But also, have the flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah, like we're together. We're having a good time. It doesn't matter. You said before you got married, apps weren't a thing. After marriage, have you gotten into the apps? Or are you like, this is foreign? I want to meet people.
I downloaded it and I went through it for like a day. And I was like, this is just not for me. It's just not for me, that type of connection. I need to feel
with the chemistry.
I'm not opposed to other people doing them. I just haven't opened myself up to it. And I don't know. I just feel like there's somebody that I'm just going to meet on, at the grocery store. Or on the plane somewhere that's sitting next to me. And we have,
hi, what's your name?
We have an interesting, stimulating conversation.
Yeah.
That
could happen.
You know what I mean?
I met somebody on a plane before. It was cute. It was when I dated men. It was a very long time ago, but it was a cute situation. It was definitely like a rom-com situation. Like he ended up sitting on side of me and I was on a connecting flight. Yeah. Anyway, we were in touch for like years. So, I mean, that could happen. Apps give you so much more opportunity to see what's out there.
It does. I'm very protective about my house and my space.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So if I don't know you like that, you ain't coming to my house. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not even really trying to go to your house either. Like,
no,
you know what I mean?
You got to do meet and greets is what I call them. Like a happy hour, a coffee. I'm not committing to a full dinner if I've never met you. Actually, I committed to a dinner would be when I first met her, but she seemed normal. Yeah. But otherwise, it's like, let me do a happy hour. Let me do like a little coffee situation. So it's like 30 to 45 minutes and you're like, wrap it up. Yeah. A lunch.
And I guess if that was like the overall like thing about apps, but I mean, I'm just gonna be real. I mean, aren't the app? I mean,
you think it's more like come to my house?
I mean, that's kind of
that's like Grinder. That's not normal. Well, I think and for Tinder for some people.
Yeah,
I love you from Tinder.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I
think you have to set it up to be like, this is not my gig, because I have friends that asked me this before, like about Tinder. They were like, I feel like it's a hookup app. And I've not met anyone that I was like, okay, I swiped on you. We went to little meet cute and now like we're hooking up. Yeah. I think with men, it might be different though.
It might be a little bit different.
Because I know Grinder is like, you hook up app. Okay. So you said you might be a little opposed to Tinder because.
There's a little bit of trauma behind it as well. My ex ended up being on some of the apps.
And you didn't know. Oh, wow. Y'all were married.
So it's just like,
I would be in jail. I would be in jail. If I were married, was he like, I was just looking for friends. That's what everyone says. I could even see if y'all moved to a new town and you're like, it's just you and I need friends. And so I'm on this app together. But like,
is that let's talk about it though.
Why would I not know that you're on an app? Yeah. Also, I'm your friend. Meet friends at your job.
Right. And I know your friends. So like,
and you need more friends?
So I mean, so there's a little bit of behind that as well. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I'm not, like I said, I don't knock nobody that does it. I understand it. We're in 2025. Some people, that's just their thing, and that's how they connect with people. And you know,
when you're truly ready to mingle, I'm setting up your Tinder app. Like, I am a pro at it. Okay. I will create your profile. Okay. I'm doing all of this. I should be like a Tinder ambassador, if you will.
Okay. I don't knock it at all, but I know that there's some safety issues and there's some, you know, you trying to do those things, and like, I like those things, but I just need to know.
Yeah. Like, calm down.
Yeah. Just relax.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, so tell me about, so it obviously wasn't a bad app story, but tell me a bad date story. You were just maybe on a date and you were like, how did I get here? Why am I here? I need to go. It's happened to me many times.
So let me think about it. If one comes up, but I don't have one like right off the top.
Am I the only one? I've done it several times. I'm leaving the block. We don't need to talk about this again.
I was at this like networking kind of event, and this older gentleman came up to me, and you know, we were kind of talking about like work. We were in the same kind of industry.
Older, like how much older?
I would say maybe like 4 or 5 years or so.
Okay, I love that you said older gentleman for 4 or 5 years older than you.
Yeah, because he moved like I thought he was a lot older. So that was another thing.
Yeah.
But it was a weird interaction because I was just like. You know how when like somebody meets you and then like they hold your hand for too long?
Yeah, you're like,
You're like and it was like kind of a weird just energy. I was just like, you're weird. Yeah, so no,
I'm not interested.
We don't connect at all.
We're not connecting.
Yeah, just kind of weird. So I mean, I've had some of those kind of instances.
That's a great segue into. When you talk about meeting people, I would not assume that you are gay. I say this about myself. Unless I'm at a gay bar, I always have to make the first move because I'm like, I have to be like, I'm gay. Yeah. You're very heterosexual presenting. How do people know? How do guys know that you're available?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Are you like winking?
I know. No.
Are you holding someone's hand too long? Gazing into their eyes?
Because, you know, that's actually a thing. Like,
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I love a good gaze into my eyes. Yeah.
I don't act differently. I mean, obviously we code switch from work to like our personal lives, whatever, but like if I like go to Atlanta, you know what I mean, I'll have my arms out, it'll be, I have a lot of my friends who are my same community. So we move that way. So it's like, all right, we all in it. So it's not necessarily I have to like, make the first move. I'm in environments that already kind of like, all right, here. So
so obviously
in more, I guess, subtle areas, I haven't really approached anybody since being divorced. I had an acquaintance with somebody who I talked to like 10, 15 years ago. We kind of ran into each other, but we already knew what it was.
Right.
But I do kind of move in a certain way that's cis, hetero. I think it's really more about just engagement and attraction. I know if you like me and I know if I like you. If we like each other, then
let's vibe.
What you listen to? What's on your playlist?
I like that. What's on your playlist?
You just need to have, kind of your own.
Have your own thing. I think it's even even not just the space, but like having your own shit, having your own things going on. Like, do you have healthy friendships, relationships? I never blame people for like family, because my family is my family. I've dated some people that didn't have healthy friendships or long-term friendships. And I'm like, red flag. You don't have nobody in your life that you've been friends with for 15, 20 years, like over the I was going to say over the age of 40, like you don't have one best friend that you have been friends with since grade school, since junior high. It's like everybody is like from 3 years ago, or these very surface friendships. I only get together to drink or smoke.
And that is a red flag because from a personality trait, like what's going on?
Yes.
Like, what's happening? Are you the problem? And I get some relationships, friendships cause people to remove themselves. And so I get it to an extent, but to your point, like you only got one.
Just give me one. Give me one best friend. Give me one normal best friend. Okay. Also, because I do prioritize my friendships, I'm from Slidell, Louisiana. I left Slidell when I was 18 years old and I moved to LA to start school. I went back to Louisiana Tech to graduate. But I moved out of my mom's house when I was 18 years old. Over the last like 20, 25 years, the friends that I've made along the way, the line sisters, the coworkers that became good friends, like those are my family to me. And I cherish that. And so if I'm dating someone and you don't have healthy relationships, it makes me wonder about you. Like, don't expect me to be your end all be all, because I can't be everything to you. I can be a loving partner. I can be supported. I want to be your best friend, but I cannot be your everything, where you don't ever talk to anyone else about anything. That's a lot of pressure.
And I can't even do that. I can't be your everything. Like, I know we say it in love songs.
I want to be your mother, your father. That's a pimp. I want to be your best friend. No. I'm gonna be your therapist. I'm Goldie. No.
I can't be your everything.
No.
You have to be your everything.
Yes.
Travels with you. And so to your point, we meet people along the way in our journey. And for me, you have to be able to watch people and be like, that's not for me. I've been down this road before.
Bye. Like, this was cute.
This is my lesson.
Yes.
Now I have to pass it this time.
Man, I swear to gosh, it took me 3 lifetimes to learn my lesson. Till you learn your lesson, you're going to keep encountering the same situations. And I feel like that's exactly what happened to me. Yes. And I'm like, there's a lesson I need to learn. And God damn it, I learned my lesson. I learned it. Okay, to wrap things up now, I always like to ask guests, like, what's a piece of advice you would tell your younger self?
Don't be afraid to make the move. Don't be afraid to take the risk. Don't be afraid to pivot. But also follow your intuition. Like always, like follow that thing that you felt. I think your intuition, you have to learn yourself throughout. Growing up.
Nothing comes out of nowhere. It's like
don't come out of nowhere.
You've been here, and it's kind of fucked up because when something happens, you're like, I felt it. I heard it.
But I still kind of like.
That's where the self-forgiveness has to come in later, because you're like, yeah.
And it's crazy because we find that at different stages in our lives. Because I've met some kids who have like intuition and are able to follow their self-sense, at a way earlier age than I did.
For sure.
That, about like, especially the youth coming up. Like,
they're so self-aware. They are. like, my niece will talk to me. She's 15 and she'll be like, they're not honoring my boundaries and and I'm like, the kids today are so.
I love that. Because we sometimes operate in such anxiety and we just don't trust ourselves as much. Or we didn't, So I think that's one of the things that I would tell my younger self, to follow that thing. You know what I mean? Believe it.
Yeah, like you feel it for a reason.
Yeah. And just being able to like tap in that way.
I love it.
Yeah.
Y'all, thank you. I know, this was so good. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Fake Straight podcast. As always, do not let anyone define you. You define you. Until next time, holla.
Take care. Peace.
As always, remember, you define you. Do not let others define you. Thank y'all so much for joining us for another episode of the Fake Straight podcast. You can follow us on all the socials at Fake Straight Pod. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you want to hear more of. Tell us what you love, what you didn't love. All that good stuff. And until next time, holla.